Yes, guys, you heard me right. We are sponsored by the wonderful people at Yugabet. Now, Yugabet is the biggest platform for betting in Uganda. You can bet on your laptop, on your smartphone, or anywhere, even if you don't have a smartphone, as long as you can have a device called a phone in your hand. Yugabet brings you all the best betting odds for football, tennis, basketball, and a couple of other games. It depends on what you want to bet on. They have virtual games. They have 100% bonuses on your first deposit, as well as a 50 million jackpot if you can actually win it. Click the link in the description to get 100% bonus on your first deposit, and obviously to sign up with Yugabet. Bet with Yugabet so that you do not regret.
Right then, lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. I'm back again with another special one that needs no introduction. My man Glen is in the house, and we are going to be hitting the Arsenal done deals show. Basically, we're going to be diving into those done deals, basically those confirmed transfers, those deals that are closed, and those ones that are actually confirmed, that are done in the past few hours. Xhaka is one of them. Another done deal. Bellerin is another one that is, could stay according to the Guardian. Another one that should be getting off the line very, very soon. Lautaro Martinez is one that has been reported advanced. We have put in an offer for James Maddison, like we discussed. We're gonna share our thoughts with my man Glen. So make sure you are watching in, smash that button, and subscribe. How are you doing, Glen, bro?
I'm doing very, very good. I'm doing good. Just kind of enjoying the Olympics. I know most of the people usually don't like Olympics, but I think in terms of off season, it's something to watch in terms of the off season, because the friendly matches don't get shown live these days on TV most of the time. So I'm doing good, ready for the next season. Only just over a week away.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know what? I mean, I can't say I'm a big fan. Can't say I'm a big fan of Olympics. Especially they happen in the summer. They happen at a time when I love one of my biggest passions in football is transfers, is the transfer market. And I was missing a lot. I was missing out a lot. That's why I opened up 90 more, because there I can report about Ken non training. I can report about Lukaku 100 million to Chelsea. I mean, how would you let a player go for pennies, and then you want to buy him at 100 plus?
Yeah. Chelsea. If all those players who left Chelsea remained at Chelsea, I'm pretty sure they would have won at least 5 of the last 6 titles, because they've sold so many players, but it was mostly because of Mourinho.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna dive into we're gonna dive into much of that. But before we actually begin the Arsenal done deals, what do you think about Ken? What do you think about Ken refusing to train with Spurs? Do you think maybe frustrated, wants to leave, maybe to a City because there is a lot of hope at City, or you think he wants more money? What do you think?
Usually when players, I usually expect players to do that if it's something that has carried on for such a long time. But Kane leaving I've only heard about it the last 1 month, 2 months about Kane leaving. So if I was a Tottenham fan, I'd be really frustrated that he wants to leave. Obviously, you understand why he wants to leave. He wants to win trophies. Will Tottenham win a trophy next season? I mean, they didn't win one with Mourinho. Now they have Nuno. Now they have players are leaving. Alderweireld left for Qatar. Aurier is about to leave. Lamela left. So the old heads are all leaving. So the moment Son and Lloris leave that team, I'm really expecting them to kind of struggle next season, especially if Kane leaves. I can only see like a 7th place position for them. Maybe this time, though, I think we'll beat them. I think 7th is a good thing for us because we've been finishing 8th, so I should not be disrespecting them. But I cannot blame him. He wants to win trophies. He's getting older. And for me, I want him to stay in England for his own benefit. I think if he stays in England, he'll get to Shearer's goal record. That's what I believe. I think another 4 seasons, I think he'll get to Shearer's goal record and he'll become Premier League's all-time top scorer. So if he's at City, I can only see him getting 30 goals per season. With the creativity from De Bruyne, from Mahrez and all those players, I'm thinking it stayed at Tottenham for way too long, like 7, 8 years. So I think it's time for a change. So I understand why, but in terms of contract, you should not be doing that, I'm thinking. If he was an Arsenal player, I'd be very frustrated.
Yeah, absolutely. But talking about frustration, talking about transfer frustrations, we have it. We have a club that has specialists in giving us that transfer frustrations, transfer headaches, and transfer surprises that are negative. So everybody on the show, I know I know you've had this, so we just want to digest it further. Granit Xhaka, according to Chris Whitley from Football.London, has signed his contract today. Xhaka has signed his contract today. Now he has 4 years on his contract at Arsenal. It is confirmed. And what is crazy is that it is being speculated that he could get more money. He could be getting more money in the contract extension. What do you think about this? I mean, when it hit you, how strong did it hit you?
Oh, very, very strong. I remember we did a show like a month ago, something, and I could not see him staying because I'm very surprised to hear that he actually wants to stay at Arsenal, that he's comfortable at Arsenal, because let's say 2 seasons ago, it was 50-50 split between the fans who loved him and the fans who don't like him. Last season, let's say it was 60-40. Right now, I'm thinking it's like 75% of fans who really don't like him and 25% of fans who like him. And also for him, I was thinking he wants a new adventure. I mean, also just like Kane, I'm assuming he's thinking he's not going to win that many trophies at Arsenal soon. I'm assuming he wants to go to a new adventure, go to Mourinho, go to Italy, a league that would suit him, the way people have been saying. And then I hear that he's going to stay at Arsenal. I was very, very surprised to hear that. Now, I'm glad it happened after the Chelsea game, because I would have been hit with so much shock. So after the Chelsea game, after Partey got injured, I started thinking maybe Partey is kind of injury prone. I know you're going to talk about Partey soon, but I'm thinking he's kind of injury prone. So I started looking at our squad. They're not buying anyone. They're not buying Neves. They're not buying Locatelli. And it was all pointing out to be Xhaka remaining at Arsenal. And 4 years, it's not even 2 years. It's another 4 years. So we are talking 2025, 2026 that the moment is going to leave Arsenal. So that was a very, very big surprise to me. Now, what I don't like is other fans that love Xhaka saying is very important in our team, which I get. I mean, we've talked about it before. Covering the left back position, I do not think we have anyone else who can do that when we have the ball and going forward. But I was very surprised because fans are saying is the only person. No, the transfer market is open. That is why it's open, so that you can look for someone who can play like Xhaka, but better. So you cannot tell me all those leagues, man. Netherlands, Belgium, England, France, Spain. There is no other player who can better Xhaka in that position. Because for Xhaka, he's been here for 5-6 years. We already know what we're going to get. We're going to get a good free kick in one game. The next game, we know he's going to get a red card. The next game, we know he's going to make a very good pass, and you're like, wow, this is why we needed Xhaka. The next game, 2-3 good games, and then we know in the 6th game, he's going to give away the ball when we're going to win our 3rd game in a row. We know what you're going to get from Xhaka. So unless something really changes around him, like the guy who's playing on his left, the guy who's playing behind him, the guy who's playing in front of him, then you can say, okay, let's now see what he can do with Maddison. Let's see what he can do with Josh King. Let's see what he can do with Gary Cahill, if whoever we have signed. But we have the same players. Bellerin is here. Kolasinac is still here. Next to him, Elneny is still here. And I'm very disappointed. I'd be very disappointed if we started the season with Xhaka and Elneny. That is what we've been starting with the last 7 years. So what has changed? It's only the opponents that have changed, and maybe Brentford is even a better team than the ones that have gotten relegated. So that's the disappointment, because we already know what Xhaka is going to offer at Arsenal, unless we change the formation or just make something different.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's funny is he had 2 more years. He has 2 more years. He had 2 more years left on his contract. That means his contract was actually running down in 2023. And what Mikel says is he's a vital part of this Arsenal side. He's a very important player. He's a key player at Arsenal. Look, when he says he's a key player, I think he means in terms of being here for a long period of time, in terms of socialization for the young and new players, in terms of experience, in terms of pedigree. I might understand that as well. But for me, how key is Xhaka when he strangles players on the pitch, when in front of the likes of Gabriel Martinelli and Saka? How key is Xhaka if he's stepping on an Arsenal jersey, throwing it down, instead of in front of these young players? How key is he? He's not a game changer. Look, let me just ask you: do you think he is one that is a key player, like Mikel says? Do you think it's Mikel's PR, Mikel Arteta's PR, just because of because he has the opportunity to speak, or he's really an important one?
Now, the thing that worries me is that very many managers have been playing him. That's the one thing that worries me, because it seems like Arsene Wenger days, Unai Emery, Eubank, all of them are talked about him and they're saying it's a good player. Listen, even the other players at Arsenal, they chose him as captain and they say that he's the best leader in the team. I understand that. Now, in terms of talent and in terms of those long passes sometimes, in terms of impacting the team, I'd say maybe he's in our top 7 players. Okay, let's forget Xhaka, Stieni, and all those players before they came. I'd say maybe yes, he's part of our top 7 talents. But what we usually say is, if he's part of our top 7 talents, then we're in trouble. Because for us, we don't see it on the pitch. But for everyone else, they see like he's a very important player. As we said, I'm not going to say Xhaka is completely useless player. Last season, he was very good. Maybe in our top 7 players again last season, passing in terms of when you're trying to waste time, he knows how to pass the ball. I've always said I think Xhaka would be okay coming from the bench, not a starter. If we have like a 2-1 lead the last 20 minutes, if you're bringing on Xhaka with to handle the ball in midfield, to make those fouls that are needed sometimes, then it'd be very important. But in terms of starting the game again from the first minute to the 90th minute, what's going to change? As you've said, we've already used to him getting those red cards, and he's not getting any younger. It's not like a Smith Rowe who you can work on. He's 19 years of age. Xhaka is already there, and I don't think you can change him. I don't think you can coach him in terms of don't fight, because he always loses his head. When you lose 2 games in a row, he loses his head. I don't think you can coach that. I think he's already that kind of player. That's the worry. So I don't think it's maybe it's very important to him, fine, and he's trying to keep the older players because the others are not good enough, like Bellerin, Kolasinac. I think Xhaka is probably the better one of all those combined. Elneny, I think, is better than all of them. So I'm thinking he's imagining, if I sell Xhaka right now and you don't get a replacement, who is going to play in midfield, because Partey is injury prone and Elneny is not that good enough. So maybe he's being forced to keep him, but I do not see why. The transfer market is open. There's so many players who you can buy. You don't even have to pay 70 million. You can get a midfielder for 20 million. So let's be honest, Xhaka was never worth 35 million. We wasted money. 35 million was Kante was available for 30 million in the same transfer window. Mane was available for 30 million in the same transfer window. The truth is we wasted money. I know people love Xhaka, a couple of more other people love Xhaka, but we already know what you're going to get from him. That's my problem. Next season is going to be the same and same again, unless he drastically improves from the last 2 months, unless he's drastically improved, but I'll be very surprised. So Xhaka is Xhaka, you're going to get Xhaka things. So I don't think it's Arteta PR and stuff. I just think he actually thinks is important to the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, let's talk about Xhaka's good side, and maybe before we go for the justifications of Mikel Arteta and whatnot, maybe let's try and look at Xhaka's good side. He's durable. Last season played 29 games. He's one of those players that actually played so many games for us, and he's gonna do that season in, season out. He's gonna play a couple of games, so he's durable. He's always gonna be there. That's one of the things you think about in signing Granit Xhaka. Maybe the other thing I think about Xhaka is his passing and passing range. But if I'm trying to compare him to other central midfielders in that league, if I compare him to Tielemans, if I'm comparing him to Somare, if I'm comparing him to Somare is just a newcomer in the league. If I'm comparing him to Jadon Henderson, I feel like we are lacking something. I feel like something's always gonna be lacking. When we have Xhaka and other clubs do have have other players there. What do you think? Do you think we signed him back off of his good run in the Euros, because people of course claim he had a very good run in the Euros, Cossy. Do you think maybe that's the reason we signed him up, maybe the Euros or something like that? But those guys are saying that Mikel has always believed in him and was trying to persuade him to stay since January 2020.
I mean, you've talked about it before. The Euros and the Premier League are not the same. Those are two very, very different competitions. And the question, you've mentioned the likes of Henderson. The question I always ask people, if Xhaka was at Liverpool or if he was at City right now, Do you think they would have kept him until now for 6 years? I do not think so. I think City would have sold him long time ago. I think Liverpool would have replaced him long time ago. Now, I'm not saying Xhaka, if we're talking about 20 aspects, I'm not going to say 20 of them are negatives. Yes, I'm going to tell you there's 6 or 7 good things about Xhaka and maybe 13 bad ones. I know about the passing range. The passing range, sometimes those long balls to Pepe, sometimes, keyword sometimes, it's not most of the times the way we want it. Sometimes he puts in a pass and I'm like, yeah, we needed that kind of pass. I know the durability is very important, like the way we've been talking about Ben White. If a player can play more than 30 games in a season, I love it because we have so many injuries at Arsenal. So if a player can actually play 30 games in a row, I'd be very, very surprised at Arsenal. But the negatives, man, especially in midfield, for me, midfield is the most important position on the pitch. If you lose the midfield battle, you're going to lose the game. That's why City always smack us by 3 or 4 goals, because Bernardo Silva and those kind of players come to the Emirates, they overrun Guendouzi, they overrun Xhaka because they are way too good. Every time I see Xhaka, sometimes he stays with the ball way too long, and then he gives away the pass, and then he fouls the guy. So all the tempo, if you're trying to get a goal in the last minute, all the tempo is gone. And I see him doing that so many times. Unnecessary fouls in midfield. Stays with the ball too long, gives away the ball, fouls. If it was someone like N'Golo Kante, he would have tried to run back for the ball and intercept it or take it from the opponent or something. Xhaka takes the easy way out. Foul him. That's what he does. He takes the easy way out. No, I'm not going to chase back. Let's foul him. Foul him. Fouls sometimes are, you see why someone can foul someone sometimes, like on a counter or something, you need to foul someone and you pick up a good yellow card. Xhaka does not pick up good yellow cards. He picks up unnecessary yellow cards most of the times. Last season, I did see an improvement in terms of yellow cards. He did not have way too many yellow cards like he's had before. But we know him. That's what I'm saying. We already know that is going to come back sometime. We already know he's going to give out 2 or 3 goals next season already. We already know that. And if you look at the mistakes in the Premier League, there is no way Arsenal Football Club, in terms of the whole Premier League, every single team that has been in the Premier League for the last 5 years, Norwich, Brighton, Southampton, Chelsea, all of those teams, Xhaka is number 1 in terms of making mistakes. Number 1. There's a reason. You cannot make 10 plus mistakes. Number 1 out of every single player who's played in the Premier League the last 6 years, Xhaka is number 1 in terms of mistakes. There's no explanation for keeping a player like that. Unless he's just changed within 2 months and he's become a superstar, I do not agree. I understand when you say he's the better player at Arsenal, yeah, but that is also the other problem. If we're not changing Xhaka, we need to change what is around him. You cannot have Xhaka and Elneny the same thing as we've had the last 6 seasons. There's nothing that is going to improve.
Yeah, and you know what worries me is in January you could have Partey who's gonna be who's proving to be inconsistent in appearance. You could have Partey out for AFCON as well as Mohamed Elneny, and then you are left with Willock, Xhaka, and Abesabi Lakonga. I don't know what that means for a whole month. A whole month with Partey and Willock. I don't know what really that means, but look, why do you think Mikel Arteta loves Xhaka? Because it was reported in the first place he pleaded with him to stay. Again, now he's pleaded with him to stay and convinced him to stay. He says he wants to play a 4-3-3. If he wants to play 4-3-3, Xhaka is not that quality, and Xhaka doesn't have that pace. Honestly. It's not there. He doesn't have the quality. He doesn't have the pace. If he wants to change Arsenal into an identity and create a nice blueprint, I don't think Xhaka is also fit for that. I mean, why do you think Mikel is so desperate to keep Granit Xhaka? Is it personal? Could it be personal, or maybe, or do you think he just believes in him as a footballer? Like maybe Jose Mourinho could believe in anyone.
That's what I've said. First of all, it's 3 previous managers who've done the same thing as well. That is what worries me. Maybe he feels safer with him in the team. I do not know. Maybe he feels safer with him in terms of leadership, in terms of someone to talk to about the game. Maybe he feels safer with him. I understand last season he was very important in the team. I understand he knows how to cover for the left back. But as you said, 4-3-3. He cannot do that in the Premier League. I'm pretty sure he plays in an advanced position for Switzerland. He plays in that position for Switzerland, but that is Switzerland against Estonia. That is not Arsenal against Man City. That is Switzerland against San Marino. That is not Arsenal against which teams that we are trying to beat, like Villarreal in the Europa League. So I believe there's still better players out there. Like at Arsenal right now, fine, he could be part of our top 10 players, but we need to change. Like, let me ask you something, Cossy. Like, we've had Xhaka and Torreira, didn't work. We've had Xhaka and El Neni, didn't work. We've had Xhaka and Partey, also that most of the times, half of the times didn't work. We've had Xhaka and Willock, we've had Xhaka and Ramsey, Xhaka and Wilshere. If you've changed all those other players, then what is the problem? You look for the one that has been consistent in all of those groups, and it is Xhaka. He's the one who's been playing with all those other players. So you try and change Xhaka. We've tried to change Torreira. We've tried to change Guendouzi. We've tried to change Wilshere. We've tried to change all of those other players. But it's still the same. We're still dropping and dropping and dropping. So what do we need to change? We've also changed manager, even if you want to say that. We've also changed manager. We've also changed defenders. White. We've changed Chambers. We've changed Mustafi. We've changed Koscielny, Holding. We've had different players behind him. We've had different players on his left. So you try and change the player that has been consistent in all of those groups, and that is Xhaka. So the only reason I could think maybe it's because he feels safer with him in terms of the leadership. That's the only reason I can think, because for me, I still expect the same Xhaka next season.
Yeah. I mean, let's speak about it from a transfer point of view. Maybe it would make more sense if we don't bring, if we sign Granit Xhaka on a longer term contract. We don't sign in a central midfielder. It means Arsenal have the opportunity, therefore, to boycott one of the needs in this transfer window and maybe go for a more advanced player like an attacking midfielder and look at a right back and also address a backup goalkeeper, based on the fact that we have less time left on the window and less funds at the moment, because we have actually failed to bring in to sell out our deadwood. Maybe could that be one of those reasons that would make sense for an Arsenal fan, that we keep Xhaka, we save the money that would have bought in a central midfielder, and we transfer the funds into buying an attacking midfielder. Do you think that could be another way of making sense of this situation?
So we are not keeping Xhaka because we really need him in our midfield. We are keeping Xhaka because Roma did not give out the money, and there's no other team that wants him. That is the real. Why is Roma the only team that wants him? We are not keeping Xhaka because it's very important in our midfield. We are only keeping because there's no other team that wants him. That is the truth. That is why Willian is here. That is why Kolasinac is here, because there are no teams that want them. If like say 5 or 6 teams are coming for Xhaka, Liverpool wanted to pay 25 million, Real Sociedad wanted to pay 20 million, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe it's very important. Let's give him another season. But Xhaka has not remained at Arsenal because it's very important. He was about to leave. He's remained because there's no other team that wants to pay the money for him. That is the truth. So for me, in our midfield, it's a very important position, because I do not feel like Xhaka is going to improve. I do not feel like he's going to improve any further. I mean, there's one thing that you said before on your shows, and what does Xhaka give you? I always ask myself that as well. What does Xhaka give you? Can you name for me 5 things that Xhaka can give you? I cannot explain. So for me, I would have sorted out central midfield first. In terms of attacking midfield, I think you can survive at least until deadline day without it. I think you can have Saka there, you can have Smith Rowe. For 3 games, it's fine. You can survive for 3 games. I know you have City and Chelsea there, but Saka had a couple of good performances against City, and Smith Rowe did well against Chelsea last season, so they can survive the first 3 games. But central midfield, against Mount, against Kante, against Rodri, against De Bruyne again, with Xhaka and El Neni in midfield again, it's only pointed out to 1 point for Arsenal in the first 3 games, and then you know what happens after that? The final day, you know what? We are 17th. We've not won a game after 3 games. We now need to panic buy, and then we go buying someone from Brighton, like the guy who's called Stevens, or that other guy called Koch at Burnley or something. That's what we do. We start panic buying. We start going for the cheaper players, and then we've not sorted out our problems. We've had 3 months to get a player who can play like Xhaka. If you really want Xhaka to stay at Arsenal, we had 3 months to get someone who can do what he does. I'm pretty sure Xhaka is not the only player in the world who does what he does. So for me, central midfield was the most important position, then attacking. Last season, last season, our strikers did miss a lot of chances. We were creating a few chances. Yes, we need a number 10. Madison is my top target, but I would have gone for a central midfielder first. The spine first, the goalkeeper, the central defender, then the attacking midfielder. The attacking midfielder can come after 3 or 4 weeks, but the central midfielder, I cannot believe we're going to start with the same midfield as we've started the season with the last 6 seasons. What will change?
It's a consecutive midfield for now. It's a consecutive midfield for now, like 3 years, because Partey misses the first 3 games of the season. We don't know we don't know yet who's going to play in that position, either Lokonga or Willock or El Neni. It will depend on Mikel Arteta. Now, we could start a season with El Neni and Xhaka. Really, it's...
when you watch other teams, when I think if an opponent or an opposing coach watches a team like City playing and their midfield, they'll be like, wow, Rodri, De Bruyne, Gundogan, we need to do something about this. Even teams like Leeds, even the likes of Dallas playing there, those likes of Phillips, you'd be like, wow, this one is tough. But how many opponents do you think look at Arsenal and they're like, oh, Xhaka and El Neni, we are in trouble? I can tell you right now, they won't tell you. They won't tell you in the press conferences because they always have respect for any other team because they have to. But I'm pretty sure if you go to Brentford's dressing room at the start of the season, and they see El Neni, and they see Xhaka, and they see Holding behind them, they see Bellerin, I'm pretty sure the coach will be like, wow, they have Xhaka and El Neni in midfield. You know their weaknesses. We can take the ball here. Xhaka is going to foul you. You don't have to mark this player. El Neni is never going to pass forward. They know because they've been there for 6-7 years. That's what they know. So I'm pretty sure they actually have a chance of winning because Xhaka and El Neni are playing in midfield. If you're not changing Xhaka, you have to change the players around him. But we still have Bellerin here. We still have Holding behind him. We have so many other problems in the team that even keeping Xhaka, even if he's a good player, you'll never notice it because it just adds. And against Chelsea, I saw the tactics we are going to play. I saw when we have the ball, I saw Tierney pushing forward. I saw Chambers pushing forward on the right. I saw Rob Holding pushing forward as a centre back. So we only had Pablo Mari as a centre-back against Werner, Havertz, and Pulisic. If you also have Xhaka there, who's also very slow, I can see a couple of red cards. Because if you're going to play those kind of tactics, if Xhaka is going to, obviously, is remaining at Arsenal, I'm thinking we have to change to a back 5. I'm thinking we cannot play a back 4. I know you said 4-3-3, but I'm thinking with Xhaka there and Holding and Bellerin still there, we have to change to a back 5. A back 4 will be terrible for us. We have to change to a back 5 to the point where if Xhaka or Holding make a mistake, there's another 3 players behind them, and we can play those tactics that Arteta want. But the playing from the back, I know Xhaka is going to give away the ball 6-7 times. I know El Neni is going to give away the ball. I know Leno is going to give away the ball. We cannot play with those tactics with the same kind of players.
It's really crazy. I thought when I saw it, I was like, now it's happened. How do we use Granit Xhaka? Do you think Arteta could have the guts to bench Xhaka? Because that's what that would make sense. I would keep Xhaka. I remember, was I on your show or speaking on this channel? And I said I would keep Xhaka as a squad player. Like if I had a player like Bruno Guimaraes, or if I had a player like Ruben Neves, I would keep Xhaka. Absolutely. I would keep him for squad rotation. That would be absolutely fine. Game management, experience. He's been at the club for so long. You keep him for those reasons, but you're not keeping him for you're basically not keeping him for football, for his quality on the pitch. You're keeping him for, I don't know how you'd call them. You're keeping him for social reasons, right? Like socialization and that. Do you think Arteta, if Xhaka really proves a problem on the pitch in terms of quality, mistake after mistake, or passing the ball sideways and affecting our press, because I think he does, definitely, he affects our press 90%. Do you think Arteta has the guts to bench him? Do you think?
I'm glad you brought that up because that is my fear. That is my first fear. He won't. He will not. And what that is pointing out to is fans complaining now. That is what I was fearing. Next season, if Xhaka has 3 or 4 bad performances, you know what will happen in the 5th game? player, fans will be like, why is Xhaka starting today? Why is Xhaka playing? Why is Willian playing? And then if he starts the game again and makes a mistake, the toxic environment in the team will be bad. That is what I don't want. I do not want it to be toxic at Arsenal again. And if all those players remain, it's going to be toxic. Because I've told you 75% of fans don't want Xhaka here. Only 25% want. I'm assuming in that pitch, if there's 50,000 people, that 5,000 or 40,000 want him gone, and maybe 10,000 are okay with him staying. So every time Xhaka will be making a mistake next season, fans will be on him. And will Arteta take him out? He won't. And even if he takes him out, it will end up like the Crystal Palace game. He'll be throwing hands and then it's all over again. The same thing that we've seen 3 years ago happening in 2022 next year. That's the one thing I'm afraid of. So I don't think he'll have the guts to remove him. But I do agree with you. If he's a squad player, I think if Xhaka, because listen, if you ask me who I'd keep between Xhaka and Bellerin, I'd tell you Xhaka. If you ask me to choose who I'd keep between Xhaka and Kolasinac, I'd tell you Xhaka. If you ask me Xhaka and Ranasson, I'd tell you Xhaka. So which means he's not in our top 10 worst players. I've always said since last season, if you're to ask me which players I'd sell, I wouldn't have Xhaka in the top 10. I'd have Bellerin there, I'd maybe have Niles there, I'd have Ranasson there, I'd have Kolasinac, I'd have... I actually said that I'd sell Chambers ahead of Xhaka. That was last season. So I'd probably keep Xhaka if I was to sell another 5 players. But now we've sold those players. Those players have gone. Mustafis have gone. Socrates have gone. So there are another 5 remaining, and unfortunately, it's part of that 5. So I don't think he'll have the guts to remove him, and that is pointing out to be toxic again next season every time he makes a mistake. Because I remember at the end of last season, every time Willian started, I was even afraid to get on Twitter because even before the game started, fans had already given up. Why is Willian playing? Why is Arteta still here? So it's the same thing that is going to happen with Xhaka next season. If he doesn't play well and starts again, it will be toxic before even the game starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, lastly on Xhaka, we've spoken about Xhaka for 30 minutes, and because he runs the show, he's the done deal. I mean, for you, because for me, the moment we signed Xhaka, the moment actually the story came out that Arsenal now are trying to convince Xhaka to stay, I just looked into our next season and the ambitions of the club, and I'm like, despite the fact that there is a project that is being proposed, the Saka, Martinelli, Lokonga, and Emil Smith Rowe project that is being proposed, I just looked at at next season as a dead one. I looked at it as Arsenal not anywhere thinking about competing next season. It's not there. It's either in the next 4 years, because Saka is 19. I think in the next 3 years, that's when you can put a lot of pressure on him. Same as Martinelli, same as Lokonga, same as Emil Smith Rowe. It is 3 years. Do you think? I mean, do you think any way otherwise? Do you think maybe Arsenal are planning of anything apart from that? Because for me, I think our ambitions are far different from those of the owners of the club. If they've decided to keep Xhaka, it's not anywhere close to winning the title in the next 5 years. It's not anywhere going back to the Champions League next year. It's not anywhere close to that.
I've told you we're not keeping Xhaka because we are going to win the league. We are keeping Xhaka because there's no other team that wants him. That is the painful truth. There's no... Why are we not hearing Barcelona wants him? Why are we not hearing Liverpool wants him? There's a reason. So we cannot win the league with Xhaka and El Neni here. We cannot win the league with Bellerin and Kolasinac still here. We cannot win the league with Ranasson as backup goalkeeper. We cannot win the league if we're depending on Okonkwo if Leno is injured. We cannot win the league if Nketiah is still here. We cannot win the league if Nelson and those players. And it's almost more than 15 players we're talking about here. It's so many players. And maybe, you can say you cannot win the league if Arteta is a manager because he's inexperienced and the kind of players you have as well. Maybe you cannot win the league with Kroenke. So it's not one problem. It's like a whole 200 problems in one. You cannot win the league with that. So for me, Xhaka is only staying. If he was a backup player, it would have worked for us. But depending on him, that's the problem. Depending on him. We are now depending on him again next season. I'll just have it like Dahir said in the chat. Simple, no. We cannot. It's no. Simple, no. We cannot do anything with those kind of players here. We cannot win the league. And can we even get past top 6? That's the problem. I do not think so. Unless they're planning something. I mean, last season, they waited until the last day to get Partey, and we were all shocked. Like, wow, they've gotten Partey from nowhere. Maybe that can happen as well later this month, maybe. But again, I feel like they've waited for too long. If they're going to sign Maddison on August 31st, no, why not sign him on July 31st? Because we have Brentford, Chelsea, and City. Because we have seen this so many years. The last 10 years, I've seen it every single time. We end up losing 2 of the first 3 games. You look on the table, after 4 games, we're already 9 points behind City. We're already 6 points behind Tottenham. We're already 5 points behind Chelsea. We're already 5 points behind United. And then we're not even in September, and we're already having to chase because we didn't get our deals done early. And any transfer that comes up after we're losing those games, as I said, those are panic transfers. Why not just buy Maddison now, have him train with the team like Ben White has done, and have a good season? What they're doing right now is putting so much pressure on themselves. I do not understand why they always put that much pressure on themselves. I do not know if Mikel Arteta has Twitter, Edu has Twitter and Instagram. I'm pretty sure they do see the comments a few times. So why put that much pressure on you? Because if we lose, let's go to Brentford in the first game and then we draw 1-1. And then we have City away. We have Chelsea at home and then City away. With Chelsea come to our place and beat us with the same scoreline 2-1. And then we go to City and lose by the same scoreline, 3-0, 4-0, like we usually do every single season. The toxic environment will be bad again. We'll be like, why are we not buying players? Why didn't we not buy players? Fans have already given up on the season after 2 games. Why not just sign the players right now? Because those players we are starting the season with, I'm assuming they're now underestimating Brighton, because I'm saying Xhaka and Elneny can do the job for us against Brentford. They can do the job for us against Brentford. So they're underestimating Brentford. If a mistake happens, if Brentford beat us in that first game, I'm very scared for those players and for those managerial positions. Arteta and Edu, I'll be very scared for them, because you need after that kind of season. I thought they'd be like, you know what, no joking around this time. We need to get 6 or 7 players before July, but they haven't. Why? Because of the Euros. Lokonga's not playing at the Euros. Tavares was not playing at the Euros. Maddison was not playing at the Copa America. Why not just pay the money and get the job done? Seriously, we need to get the job done. We are not going to move on from here. And listen, 100% because he knows last season, I'm not at out until today, but what I say this time round, I'm also not at in. I'm waiting to see what happens. But the way they're moving, it's like they want to eat up Arsenal from inside. I do not know what we did to them. It's like they want to kill Arsenal completely. The Kroenkes they do, it's like they want to finish Arsenal completely, take us to relegation, and then they leave. I do not know what's happening, because if I was part of that manager position, man, I would be going for those players we've been mentioning, the Neves, the Maddison, and we'd have sorted out our problems. But now it's still the same. It's still the same. There's no way we are going to beat City with Xhaka and Elneny in midfield. It's going to be the same thing all over again. I know people are saying Chelsea was a friendly, but that is a sneak peek of what we're going to get when the season starts. It's still the same players. It doesn't mean that if it's not a friendly, Bellerin won't make that pass. He'll still make it, because he was scared to stay with the ball. He'll still make that pass. So I'm very scared, because I'm very scared of the season. If you're not going to buy any other player from these 3 players, then it's going to be the same season again.
Yeah, exactly. Please do smash the like button, people. Thanks everybody for doing that. Smash the like button, and of course do subscribe to the channel. The channel name, beside the channel name, you have that subscribe word. Please do subscribe, and let's get them to at least 100 likes. We're at 44. Let's smash that like button. Right. Glen, thanks everybody. Thanks so much. Very, very good thoughts on Xhaka, Xhaka's new contract. If you did know anyone, Xhaka's contract is confirmed 4 years now. The marriage continues. Rokan says, I think Edwin Arteta are right to hand him a new contract, because their players are Arsenal who need to first get moved on. William Torreira, Maitland-Niles, Willock, and Kolasinac. That's what Rokan says. And it's gonna be an easy one. To reply to Rokane is a Manchester United fan, and if you look at United, they have Matic, they have McTominay, they have Fred. Not good enough, really.
Yeah,
but the advantage they have is they bring in Pogba, and that buys them time to move on the deadwood. They have Bruno Fernandes, So our problem is so different from United, and maybe that's why Rokan cannot actually understand the pain we are in. Is when Xhaka stays, we don't bring in someone better. When Fred stays at United, they sign Pogba. When McTominay is still there, they sign Pogba. So they can have Pogba in the midfield with Matic, with Bruno Fernandes, and they can actually forget about Fred. They can actually forget about McTominay. We can't forget Mohamed El Neni. We can't forget Xhaka, because they are the best. They are the best at the club at the moment. They are our best. Yeah.
Very right. Very right. Let's say you start the season. Let's say Partey, because I've seen Partey could be out for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we are in big trouble.
Exactly.
If Partey is injured again, it's sad. It's very sad. If Partey, I saw Partey getting injured, and it was a friendly match, and I almost cried because I just remembered they'll now give Xhaka a new contract. We now have El Neni and Xhaka, because if Xhaka is in that midfield and Lokonga, let's say Xhaka and Lokonga start and Partey is injured, and then you look at the bench, let's say Willock gets sold. If you look at the bench, who will we have on the bench? Because for United, I understand they usually hate it when Fred and McTominay start together, McFred as they call them. But it's actually Solskjaer's decision to play them. They have the option of bringing in Van der Beek. They have the option of bringing in Pogba. They have the option of changing the formation and having Cavani and Greenwood up front. They have options. We don't have options at Arsenal. If Chelsea Mount doesn't play well, they can throw in Havertz from the bench. If Kante doesn't play well, they can have Kovacic come do the job in the midfield. Now, if Partey is injured and we only have Xhaka and Lokonga, if Xhaka doesn't do well, who do we bring in? There's no one. So even I know we don't have European football, but we need different ideas. You don't even need that squad depth just because of injuries. You need that squad depth to have a plan B as well. And City, I'm telling you, that City game, I'll be back on this channel after this City game. If you still have those same players against City, it's still going to be the same result. De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, and if they had Kane as well, Grealish, will not be able to sort it out. So I know you're not going to play City the whole season, but those first 3 games are what definitely kind of gives us the outlook on how the season will be. So I'm not confident.
All right. Rokani says giving Xhaka a new contract doesn't mean Arsenal won't sign in new midfielders. I think staying and adding the likes of Bissouma in the CDM role will make the squad better. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. We've seen this Arsenal side for 20 years now. I mean, we are an open book. We're not like a United. We're not like a Manchester City or a Chelsea. We are an open book. We don't spend, or we spend poorly, or we spend on the wrong options. That is Arsenal. In the market, we are always an open book. Xhaka stays, no central midfielder comes in. Yeah, you could have an attacking midfielder, but no central midfielder comes in. As simple as that. I'm betting. I'll bet some money. I'll bet with Eurocan. If Arsenal sign in a central midfielder, we should bet. I should give you $50. If Xhaka now signs, if we sign in a central midfielder, I give you $50. Quit, because we've always been that open book. We are always that open book. We are not so complicated to understand. If look, like last season, the moment we said Bellerin stays, I knew it. Our hopes to sign in a new right back were over. And indeed, they were over. And we played a whole season with Hector Bellerin, and he was absolutely bogus. Absolutely. So for us, we are on open book. But we want to go to Thomas Partey and the injury update. Now, Glenn, they're saying Partey's injury doesn't look so bad, doesn't seem so bad than it actually first appeared. Though he will miss around 3 games of the in the opening at the opening of the season. That means around 5 games, because if he's missing 3, then getting fitness and things like that, he misses 5. Partey injuries, they're gonna cost him. They're gonna cost him the player we thought we had signed. But are you worried? Or because he's picked up a couple of them now, and he's really whenever he tries to get back on the road, whenever he tries to get back on his feet, he gets injured. Are you worried?
And it is very worrying. Partey was at Atletico Madrid since 2012 to 2020, almost 8 years. Yeah. He picked up 2 injuries. Now, 3 injuries, 2 are hamstring injuries. One kept him out for 3 days. One injury kept him out for 3 days at Atletico Madrid. Another one kept him out for, I think, 3 weeks. And then there was, I think, a foot injury or something that kept him out for like 2 months. 3 injuries at Atletico Madrid. He's already picked out like 7 injuries already at Arsenal. So I always ask myself, is it that Arsenal are cursed? Is it that our medical team does not do the job? Because you have to ask questions. It can't be like
maybe there is a
there's
question there. Could it be the
Tierney.
medical? Could it be something that we are not doing right?
Yeah, because there's so many injuries. I know that there are kind of bad luck injuries, like Ramsey and Eduardo. Those are bad luck injuries. Diaby, those are bad luck injuries. Those can happen in football. But our injuries these days are not like that, man. It's niggly injuries. Bellerin at the end of last season against Chelsea, he cleared the ball, injured. Partey, he runs with the ball, injured. Tierney played like every single game at Celtic. He comes to Arsenal. I always like when Arsenal score 2 goals in a game, 2-0. I always say take out Tierney and Partey. I do not care if it's the 36th minute. Just take them out, put them on the bench, because I know if they get to the 70th minute, they'll pick up injuries. So is it the doctors? Is it the players we are signing that end up cast at Arsenal? Like, is it an Arsenal thing? Because you have to worry every time. Because if someone has played like 38 games like Ben White and he picks up an injury, you'd be like, you know what, he's played a lot of games. But Partey has even played 5 games in a row. That is the worry. And in that first half against Chelsea, Partey was the best player on the pitch. The way he was I think Smith Rowe hit the post. The way Partey intercepted that ball and passed it to Smith Rowe, there's no one else at Arsenal who can do that. Partey, these days, it looks like he has improved on his shooting as well. He's not afraid to shoot, and he's actually not hitting the cars outside of the stadium these days. He's actually hitting the target and the post. I saw him hitting the post at the end of the season. So if Partey is injured again, man, for 4 weeks, as you said, and then you know what will happen. He'll come back and play 4 games.
Yeah.
And then he'll pick up another injury for 2 weeks. And then he'll go on international break with Ghana and then come back with another injury. So those things are really worrying me. So I'm not going to put that on him that we did not sign the player that we thought he was. The injuries could be a bad luck thing. Maybe he came to Arsenal and maybe the Premier League is harder and the tempo is harder. It could be the reason, fine. But the problem is who we have on the bench. Listen, if it was Bissouma on the bench or those kind of players coming in, I'd be like, you know what, you can survive for 4 days. But I don't think we have anyone else who can do the Partey job at Arsenal at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you think it could be the physicality of the Premier League? Because in Spain, at times, it's a little bit slower and softer and sweeter. I think it's the exact opposite in the Premier League. It's fast, physical. It's a lot of there's a lot of hate. What do you think? Do you think maybe it's the physicality of the league and how fast it is?
I'm telling you, if Partey goes to Man City, we'll play 35 games. So it is not the Premier League that is the problem. That is what I'm thinking. Because which players are you trying to look for? Because we've had players at Arsenal over the years. We've had so many players picking up injuries, like from the top of the head, like the Cazolas, Wilshires. Those injuries are very, very freaky. How we pick up so many injuries. It's not Arsenal that picks up injury alone. It's not just us. But if you count the last 6 years, the most important injuries, it's Arsenal. Yes, Liverpool had one with Van Dijk, but that is an impact injury. That is someone fouling you and getting injured. For Arsenal, it's rarely people fouling you and getting injured. It's Tierney running, then dropping down, holding his leg. It's someone clearing the ball like Bellerin, then holding the leg. It's like injuries, muscle injuries and all that. And that is very worrying. That I have to think it's Arsenal medical team. That is what I'm thinking. It has to be Arsenal's maybe kind of training that we do. Maybe it's the kind of massages, maybe it's the gym, whatever. It just has to be something to do with Arsenal, because there's no point of signing so many players. I'm telling you, Ben White. Now, I'm really hoping Ben White does not get injured, because we'll ask ourselves questions. Ben White has missed 3 games the last 3 seasons. 3 games the last 3 seasons. If he comes to Arsenal and picks up a muscle injury and misses 10, 15 games, I'd be very worried. I'd actually say that it's the medical team 100%, because these are players who've come to Arsenal without injuries, and then all of them end up with injuries. So we have to investigate. It's either we are cast with injuries, or the second one, the medical team does not know the job, and I'm going with the medical team.
Yeah, man. I just hope Partey gets better, because you don't want your best player in the midfield, your best midfielder, to actually be the one that picks up those injuries. I mean, let's get over that. I pray. But it's gonna be a very hard beginning of the season, because at the beginning of the season, without Partey, you have Chelsea, you have City, you have Brentford away from home. I think in the first games, that's where we have Spurs as well, Nanso.
Yeah, Norwich, Burnley.
Norwich and Burnley. I think it's gonna be. I think it would have been so good for Partey to start the season.
Yeah, those are the important games now. You know what is happening this season again. Partey will miss Chelsea, probably City as well. Those two games. In January we're also playing those teams. So he'll miss City again. So the toughest game that we need Partey in City, he will not play home and away. So we're going to have the same players playing there that have been playing against City the last 6 seasons. We signed Partey and Tierney for games like this. City, and we saw how important Gabriel and Partey were last season. Partey and Gabriel were the reason why we ended up ending our bad run at Old Trafford. Partey absolutely destroyed Pogba at Old Trafford last season. Gabriel did very well at Old Trafford that season. Tierney as well. If you look at the game against Chelsea when we ended our bad run at Stamford Bridge, it was those players who've not been here, the Smith-Rowes, the Partys that made a difference. So that's why we've beaten those teams. So I was hoping like this season now we can end our bad run against City by bringing those players to play against City. But he will not play against Chelsea. He will not play against City, home and away. In January, we also have Tottenham. He will not play again. He all got subbed off last season. So it's terrible. And after you finish that comment, you can bring up the John Albert comment just above that, like 3 comments above that.
Yeah, Dick said, please read my comment, and this is the comment he was meaning, that Arsenal have the best players and can also sign in best players. The key thing is players being lethal. Now, for me, if you're saying you have the best players, and then you're saying they are not lethal, then what defines they are the best players? What makes them the best players? Xhaka isn't one for me. Xhaka isn't the best. Isn't one of the best players. It's a lie. Kolasinac isn't. Chambers isn't. However much Chambers is good when you look at him. Not good enough. Xhaka is good, not good enough as well. For me, look, you might say our players are good, but don't say they are the best players. What I've seen with many Arsenal fans, that they don't compare them, the club or our players to the rest of our opponents. They just look at our players and that's it. And at times, that closed circle of knowledge gives you false confidence, and you feel like we can go on for City, we can take on Chelsea. But if you try to compare player per player, just compare with Aston Villa, it's enough. Look at where they have Joe McGinn. That is what you call lethal. Joe McGinn is lethal. Jack Grealish is lethal. Ole Watkins is lethal. That's what you call lethal. You don't call Xhaka lethal. You don't. Even if it's Nicola Pepe. Even if it's Nicola Pepe is a good player, but we've not seen the lethal part of him. We've actually not seen it, right?
Yeah. So, and even if we get lethal, does that end our problems? It does not. Maybe to make best players, as Dixon has said, best players. Best. Now, there's so many things that make a best player. It's not just because if Lacazette starts scoring all of a sudden doesn't miss chances is the best player. There's so many things that I want to see from the players. Can Bellerin, if we've lost 3 games in a row, can Bellerin show me that he has the mentality to stay in the team and keep working hard and try and win the 4th and the 5th games? Do they have the mentality at Arsenal? They do not. I need to see commitment from the players to make you one of the best players. I need to see some leadership in you to make you one of the best players. How do you the relationship with you and the other players in the team? That's what makes you your best player, not just being lethal. If you're being lethal, then Aubameyang from 2 seasons ago, he was the best player in the world because he was lethal. But we still know he doesn't have a few things. That's why I can't call him the best player in the world, because where is the leadership? Where is the commitment? Where is the mentality? Where is the concentration? Arsenal defenders, if you're 2-1 ahead, can you trust an Arsenal defender to defend for the last 5 minutes to win the game? No, because we know they can lose the concentration anytime in the game. So to become a best player, you need a lot of things. Even if they become lethal, there's a lot of things I need to see from them before I call them best players. A lot of things. The problems that they had, the negatives in their game, have they improved them? So such small things. So there's a lot, man.
King Panda says you never know. Sambi could be the answer to our midfield. There is no doubt about that. You never know because you've used that word. You never know. So let us keep hoping and keep waiting. Glenn, as we close the show, we're gonna speak about Lautaro Martinez and Maddison. A couple of updates that are really, really optimistic. That have actually come out. Please smash that button, people. Let's get them to 70. We are at 54. Let's try to move them to 70 right about now. Around 16 more likes. To do that, let's get it done. Big up a member, Raptors, my man, says Partey injury is at least possible. 3 point setback. I think Sambi is better pairing by far with Partey, but due to injury, who should play alongside Sambi in the middle? Brilliant question though. Brilliant question that you put in there. Yes, you could have, at least we had Partey and Sambi. We had that confidence. At least Partey will play with Sambi if Xhaka fails. Now, if Partey gets that injury prone, who plays with Sambi? It's gonna be very, very, it's gonna be a very big question. So, my man Kafo says, what's our fate about Maddison and how Sam? That is where we actually going. So, Glenn, this on this good day, we've had a couple of reports right from Chris Whitley and a couple of other reports that Arsenal have actually put an initial offer directly, not directly, but through intermediaries to Leicester City. The offer is believed to be a player plus cash. I've not seen the details, I've not seen the money, and I've not seen the players. But a couple of players have been listed, including Willock, including Reece Nelson, and including Eddie Nketiah. Player plus cash deal. Leicester City have what you call a sell-on clause with Norwich in the player's contract. So they would want to make more profit so that they can actually give a portion to Norwich.
Norwich, yeah.
There is also the Martinez situation where we have Inter Milan coming out very openly and saying they would love to sell Martinez and keep Romelu Lukaku. They have to sell one of them. It is Martinez they want to sell, and Arsenal, I believe, to be in talks, not really advanced like a couple of reports have been reporting. They might not be that advanced, but we are in talks for Lautaro Martinez. Let's start off with James Maddison. He is our priority, isn't he?
Oh, 100%. You did a poll last week asking about Martinez and Maddison, and people voted for Martinez, and I almost lost my head at 12 at midnight. I was like, seriously? You want Martinez ahead of Maddison? Let me tell you, Martinez, I know Martinez, you could say he could do a better job than Lacazette, but he is a forward player. We've had this kind of players, Sanchez, Alexis Sanchez, we've had this kind of players, but our problem has always been midfield. That is our problem, midfield. Odegaard, if you sign Odegaard, do you think opponents will be like, wow, they've signed Odegaard? Arsenal is going to be a good team next season. I do not think they'll have that kind of reaction. But if we signed Maddison, that is a statement signing. That is, we are not the Arsenal anymore. We are now serious. We've signed Maddison. We've paid 60 million, we've paid 70 million for Maddison, a very good creator, a guy who knows how to take set pieces, a guy who's done it in the Premier League the last 4 years against every single team, home and away. That is a statement signing. That is, we are back signing. But signing Maddison, man, Maddison is my dream signing. Last year when we were in lockdown, I was doing a video talking about players, my dream signings from every single club. And the first two are De Bruyne from City and Maddison from Leicester. Maddison, everything can go through him. He can create the chances that we did not create last season. If Lacazette misses 2 chances again, Maddison can create for him a third one. He's an English player. He's played in the Premier League before, as I've told you. He understands the Premier League. Maybe if Xhaka stays at Arsenal, maybe changing a player like Maddison ahead of him, maybe that can change his game as well. The approach should be different. I know you said we can only play a 4-2-3-1 with Maddison, but even in that formation, you have Smith Rowe in the team. Smith Rowe can learn a lot of things from Maddison, a lot of things. Xhaka can learn a lot of things from him as well. Maddison would be a statement signing. That is my 100% dream signing. You're talking about giving them one player, and I'd give them all those 3 that you mentioned. I'd give them plus 50 million, and when you go to the shop and you buy one thing and you get one free, add Willian part of the deal, you know, give us Maddison and you throw for you Willian for free. Like, I'd just give them for free. I'd given even 4 players. That's how good Maddison is. The kind of impact, the kind of transition. We've always had a trouble in transition. Every time, these days with Arsenal, we always take so much time to create a chance. So much time, because we are playing it on the back, at the back, at the back. Then it's El Neni. Then he passes it to Bellerin. Then it's back to Holding again. Then it's back to Leno. Then Chambers. Then back to Leno. Then before you know it, it's already halftime. The game is 0-0. Chelsea the other day, we had the ball so much. Chelsea had one chance, goal, because their transition is very quick. Maddison with transitioning, he could help us very much. You remember that game we lost 3-0 to Aston Villa last season at home? Grealish picked up the ball from his own half and he ran past like 4 of our players and gave it to Watkins' goal. De Bruyne for Belgium, I think the game Belgium lost at the Euros. There's a game where he picked up the ball from his own half and ran with it so many times. That is what Maddison will give you. I don't think Odegaard will give you that at Arsenal. I do not think he can pick up the ball from our own half and take us forward. He can't. He can pick out the pass maybe, but Maddison will bring so much more. The good set pieces. How many corners do Arsenal get in a game? At least 12 corners per game that we get, and only 1 of them ends up with our header. 11 of them are cleared. With Maddison, we can have some accuracy in that. With free kicks, the number of free kicks we get, we can add so much into our team with Maddison. With Martinez, listen, Martinez is definitely an improvement on Lacazette right now. I agree with that. Fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But is Martinez such an important signing for us that we really need Maddison? That we really need Martinez. Sorry, do we really need Martinez? Will Martinez take us from 8th to 4th? I do not think so, because we'll still have a problem in midfield. We'll still have the same problems with creating chances. We'll still have games where Aubameyang and Martinez are up front and they're not getting any chances. We'll still have that. I love the fact that you mentioned it before. Martinez can play for you in different positions. He can play as a right forward, as a left forward, as a striker. Fine, that is okay. Lacazette cannot do that for you. But Maddison is way much important. I do not think if we ask any Arsenal fan at the end of the season, name me one player you want Arsenal to sign, they would have told you Grealish, they would have told you Maddison. I'm probably sure not many people would have told you Martinez, because that is not the most important signing that we need. That is not an emergency signing for us. As I've always told you, I do not think Lacazette and Aubameyang are that useless to give them away and get Martinez. I do not believe they're that useless. Maddison, though, we do not have anything in midfield. At least up front, we do have Aubameyang and Lacazette, who, even if they don't score 30 goals, they'll get 15. Now, in midfield, we do not have anyone who can even pick out 2 assists. That's the problem. So we definitely need Maddison.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same thing I made. It's the same argument I said, that with James Maddison, the problem is you don't have someone who does what he does. With Martinez, look, you have Aubameyang, you have Lacazette, you have Nketiah if he stays, and you also have Balogun and Martinelli, right? So, I mean, with all those strikers, you could actually get lucky with one. With James Maddison, it is absolutely empty. You're just going to ride on the back of a 20-year-old player again, which actually makes a lot of nonsense rather than sense. But do you think player plus cash, do you think Leicester City could be open to that? Do you think they could be open to, you know what, let's get some cash plus a player? Because for them, they're actually very comfortable. They're like, we will sell only if the right amount of money comes. We are not, we are in no position to be pressured into selling. Do you think maybe they could give us a compromise? Do you think it could happen? Arsenal getting lucky with that one as well?
No. Leicester, the last 5 years, they've sold so many players. I told you before with N'Golo Conte, I think Chelsea had offered little money and they were like, you know what, we're not giving you Conte. Come with 40 million, 35 million, then we'll give you. Chelsea had to. And Maguire and Mahrez are the best examples. With Maguire, I think United wanted him from April of that year. And United are like, you know what, 40 million for Maguire. And Leicester are like, no. You're either going to give us 80 million or you're not going to pick up the phone. And they did not pick up the phone until August when United really were like, you know what, the season is about to start. These guys are not changing their opinion, so we need to give them the 80 million. So also the players we are giving them, like a player like Iwobi, we got 40 million from Everton. We stole money from Everton. Iwobi was never worth 40 million. So if Leicester give us Madison and we give them like 40, 50 million and they take Nketiah or Willock or Nelson, I'll be like, yes, they're very good players, but deep inside my heart, I know, you know what, we have stolen another deal there because those players are not good enough. And do they need someone like a Niles though? They don't. I think with Pereira and Castagna at right back and Didi and Tillemans in midfield, they do not need a Niles. Nelson, maybe they need a winger somewhere. Maybe the old Brightons of this world are becoming old. Maybe Nketiah striker now. They have this new striker now. They have Vardy, they have Kelechi. They do not need a striker. So the players we're also offering them, are they players that would really make you happy? I do not think so. So even if I was a Leicester fan, I'd be like, you have to give us money. So I think we'll have to pay up, maybe just to sweeten the deal. Maybe not that much, like 50 million in a player, maybe 60 million and a player like Nelson. Maybe they could accept that, but I don't think they will. I think we'll have to pay 70 million if you're going to get Madison.
I mean, I absolutely also thought about it. I mean, the quality of the players we want to go with doesn't give you that energy. Doesn't. If I'm Leicester City and you brought in Joe Willock, yeah, he's scored 8 goals. More than your combined, midfield output. But he didn't do better than our midfielders. So you know what happens with Arsenal fans is they'll tell you know what, Cossy, Willock should stay because he scored more goals than all the Arsenal midfielders combined. And then I'm like, did he score more goals than the Liverpool midfield combined? No. Did he score more goals than the Leicester City midfield combined? No. Did he score more goals than the Manchester City midfield combined? Did he even perform better or close to Phil Foden in the last season? Almost all youngsters. No. So for me, I think Leicester will want the money. What I don't get, is it 70? Is it 60? What exactly is the price they're asking for? Because a couple of reports looking at 70, others saying 60. What have you heard around?
What I'll tell you is I do not care. I'd pay 70 million. I do not care whether it's 60 or 70. Whatever they want, I would have sent the money. I'm so serious. Even if I was a millionaire and they asked me to send them 3 or 5 million on top, I would. Madison is that, it make that much of an impact. So what I've had is maybe around 65 and 68. That is what I've had, between 65 and 68. Maybe not quite 70, but as you said, with the Norwich being involved as well, then maybe they would need that 70. And I actually do think it's worth it, man. Like, I think that kind of player would make a difference for you. Liverpool paid money for Van Dijk. He made a difference to their team. He brought them the Champions League. They had a problem with Mignolet in goal. They brought Alisson. They won the Champions League. If you sort out your problems, you're going to win. But if we keep on moving around, because what has happened the last 10 years is there's a time we had good defenders. Mertesacker and Koscielny are a very good partnership, but we did not have a striker. There's a time we had very good midfielders, Sanchez, Cazorla. We did not have a right winger. There's a time we had good left wingers. We did not have central midfielders. There's a time we had a good goalkeeper. We did not have a striker. We have to balance it out, because the moment Aubameyang has been good at Arsenal for 4 seasons before last season, now we didn't have a player to create chances as much as we wanted. Aubameyang will leave Arsenal, Lacazette will leave Arsenal. We'll get a good midfield, and then the next thing we'll be talking about is Arsenal. We need a striker. We need a striker. We need a striker. So can you bring up that comment after the one that says Arsenal create chances, Lacazette and Aubameyang can't score? That comment. Now, I've just told you Maddison does not just bring creating chances. And there's so many games last season that ended that Aubameyang did not even have a shot on target or a chance. There's so many games last season that ended without Lacazette having chances to score at all. Yes, they did miss chances. I definitely agree. Against Liverpool, especially, Lacazette missed some open chances. But how many times do we see Arsenal running down the left? Tierney puts in a cross. There's no one to head the ball. We've seen Bellerin running on the right so many times, Cedric putting in a cross that we know we are never going to score. We did not have Giroud at Arsenal. Why? Because we have no other ideas. We have no one that can pick out a pass. So we settle for cross the ball, cross the ball, cross the ball, cross the ball, cross the ball. Those are not good chances that we create. Those are half chances that we are creating. Good chances are like the way I see De Bruyne giving Sterling a ball one-on-one with the goalkeeper. That is a good chance to create. How many times have we done that? I cannot even mention for you how many times. Lacazette had like 4 one-on-one chances last season. I have never seen Pepe one-on-one with a goalkeeper. Aubameyang maybe 3 times last season one-on-one with a goalkeeper. He did score most of the time. So Maddison as well, he's not coming to Arsenal to just create chances. I've told you about the transitioning to score more goals. Very, very important. How many of our midfielders are scoring goals? Even Smith Rowe last season, he scored like only 2 goals. Partey, 0. Guendouzi, 1 goal for Arsenal. Torreira, 1 goal for Arsenal. Even Xhaka is not a good finisher, by the way. I've seen him one-on-one chances with the goalkeeper and he misses it. He's not yet there yet with the chances. Odegaard, how many goals? 2 or 3 goals at Arsenal for like 5 months. That is not enough. Maddison brings for you the goals at Arsenal. So the creating chances, the goals, the transitioning, the good set pieces. You cannot tell me that if Maddison does not join Arsenal that we create enough chances. That is a lie. We do not create enough chances at Arsenal. The game against Chelsea, we had the possession like 70%, and we did not create any chance the whole of the first half. We depended on Smith Rowe's brilliance to hit the post. We did not create a chance in the first half at all.
Absolutely. Let me tell you people, just one thing on that comment when you say Arsenal create chances, Aubameyang and Lacazette don't score. At the beginning of last season, we were averaging almost 5 crosses per 90 from Bellerin and a couple of other players. And I said it with Kian Tierney. And I said Tierney needs to change. Tierney needs to give us something different. If you're bringing in crosses and no one is there to head them, we need to start bringing in, lower balls. And when Tierney did that, you saw a lot of differences, a big difference in the Arsenal side. So I think with the number 10, what you have is you have a lot to feed on as a striker. Like at times, lacks confidence, so he hides from crosses, and Aubameyang has started to do other elements.
I definitely need those players to improve, though. I saw Aubameyang missing a header the other day, and I was very frustrated. That is a very good chance. Now, that is where Tierney is good. Sometimes he can pick out a good cross. But on the other side, though, with Bellerin and Cedric, sometimes they just hit the cross, just hit it wherever it lands. You cannot hit those crosses if, that tall guy at Southampton, Vestergaard, you cannot hit those crosses if it's Lacazette and Vestergaard. You'll never win that header. So sometimes you also need to change tactics. And if you have Maddison, you can use different tactics.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's really funny. But let me just ask you, do you think if we became a little bit more serious, we could get that one done? James Maddison, could it get, done over the line?
If they became serious, because they're ready to sell and Maddison looks like he's ready to come to Arsenal. That also answers the question for people saying, why should Maddison downgrade? Why should this one downgrade? Why would you leave Leicester to come to Arsenal? Maddison has said he wants to come to Arsenal. Then why is he saying he wants to come to Arsenal? Because when you come to Arsenal and you go to United or when you go to Liverpool, such kind of teams, the World Cup is next year. I told you it depends with how you're feeling about yourself as well. If the World Cup is next year, Maddison wants to be picked for the World Cup next season. He missed all the Euros. So if he's being seen or watched more times. If you're at Arsenal, you're being watched more times than Leicester. That is why on TV we get more games for Arsenal and United and Liverpool than Leicester. So he's getting seen more. The exposure is more. As much as we say followers don't matter, for them it does. I mean, for Ronaldo, the Instagram is a business now. So for Maddison, if he gets those more followers, gets more known more and everything, it's a benefit for him. So if you become serious, and we pay the money, we will get him. So unless I've seen Liverpool have really, really good negotiating people. Sometimes they drop a deal from 50 to 30. So if you could try and convince them for the next 1 week, we need to, because I think we can survive, as I've said, the first 2 games without Maddison. But I don't think you can survive without a midfielder like Partey. That's the problem. So if they don't turn their back on their prize, let's just pay the money and change our season.
Yeah, absolutely. Russell says, we also need players from the lower divisions. Look at Jamie Vardy when he came from the lower divisions and look at how good he is. Some of these high-profile players will give you problems soon or later. And there is the element of easiness to do in terms of deals if you're signing someone from a lower division. And there is also an element of the deal being cheap. What do you think about this? Of course, there are problems with signing players from lower divisions. A lot of them. It's like they're real gambles. Because, look, signing from a player from Brighton to Arsenal is a lesser risk than signing for a player from the Championship to Arsenal. Basically, they're having this huge jump. Absolutely. But what do you think? Maybe, should we try these, championship and lower divisions players, to get players, like you would have Ben White from Leeds. Maybe by then he would be around 30 or 25 million pounds, rather than signing him, from Brighton, where he's 55.
Yeah, 100% I agree. Let me give you two points from that. The first one is the players that we currently have. Why I did not want Xhaka to stay at Arsenal? Because I believe they've become too comfortable. They've become too comfortable at Arsenal. They know they're not going to lose their positions. I'm still going to go to my expensive London house. I'm still going to get paid 10 million per week. All that is good for them. If you're bringing a player from the lower division, this player he's hungry, like he wants to feed his family, he wants to show, he wants to prove his name, he wants to play for his country. Players like Vardy, that title winning season for Leicester, how many players can you even mention now that, how many of them have gone on to do, like, how many of them are celebrities? Okazaki, no one talks about Okazaki. No one talks about Ujua. No one talks about Simpson, who they had at right back. No one talks about Robert Huth, who was playing with Morgan at centre back. It's only Vardy and Maris, because those players, they were very hardworking. They did not need you to know their name, but they won the league title. There are players who've been here that you know their name that have not won the league title, the likes of Bellerin. Very, very important. You need players who can be committed, players who are not comfortable yet. Now, the second point is players like Vardy, players like Aston Villa last season, Matty Cash, the right back. Does Matty Cash have a better season than Bellerin last season? 100%. Did Watkins have a better season?
As well. I'll put Matty Cash over Yves Bissouma as well, and Trent Alexander-Arnold last season.
Yeah, strikers. Did Watkins have a better season than Lacazette? Yes. Did all those players came from the Championship? All of them, even Konza, the one who plays with Mings at the back, he came from the Championship, and all of them have worked. The good thing with signing these players from the Championship, listen, it can end up not working because it would be such a high step for them. Fine, but if you sign them for 2 million, 3 million, that is something you can deal with. A 2 million loss is fine, but we've been signing these players from the big teams. Mustafi came from Valencia. It did not work. We signed Xhaka from Mönchengladbach. It has not worked the way you expected it. So we've signed players from these big name teams, Dortmund, Lyon, PSG. We've signed players from those teams, Barcelona even, Real Madrid even. But how many of them have left an impact? Ceballos, you remember Ceballos as an Arsenal player in the next 10 years? You wouldn't, and he's come from Real Madrid.
10 years is a decade. In the next 2 seasons, no one will remember Ceballos.
Exactly, you'll not remember Ceballos at all. So, and he came from Real Madrid. So we've had players coming from lower end teams. It doesn't even have to be a Division 2 team like Rochdale or those kind of teams. No, just a Championship team. Go for a player at Leeds, as you said, the last before they got promoted. Go for a player from Brentford before they got promoted. Let's try a team like Millwall or something. Let's try and get a couple of players from there. Because those players, they want to make a name for themselves, and they'll try. Yeah. But signing these players who already just need money, like Willian only signed for Arsenal because he needed money. He's already won those things at Chelsea, does not care anymore.
Last topic, and then we will call it. This is the last comment we'll actually react to. Thanks everybody who's been joining us. Big up to Anu, big up to Salim, big up to Henry for being on. Big up to George, big up to Williams, Precious JC, big up to Russell, big up to Ariso, big up to Twine as well, Salis, Ariso as well, Kafo, Hot Deals in Town. Big up to you, my lads, for always being on, and thanks so much for watching us this evening. Big up to Eric Ogoya, my man, as well. Make sure you smash that button. Let's get him let's get in 5 more likes. Let's get him 5 more likes. That will really do me well. 5 more likes, just that. So the last one is Auba, is from Eric, and says Aubameyang is over long time. Auba time is over long time ago, even if Cossy favors him so much than Laka. It's according to my man Eric. And look, I do this is an Arsenal fan channel. Don't fear to give me your opinion. I do appreciate all of your comments. We have 42 new people watching. Let us get in those 42 new likes. Let's get those 42 new likes. So Glenn, It looks like there is this kind of frustration that has built around Aubameyang, and this frustration is at times it sucks me because I'm looking at players like Xhaka getting the sympathy. I'm looking at players like Lacazette getting the sympathy. They've been here for half a decade. Like they've been here for half a decade. And everybody says, they will improve. They'll be better. Okay, they're not so bad. Leave them. Give them another season. With Aubameyang, he's messed up for only one season. Like one season. Just that. And there's a lot of stick on his name. I'm gonna ask you this. Do you think Aubameyang has become too bad? Or he actually set the bar too high that the moment he doesn't hit the bar, he's done. He's lost.
Yeah, Aubameyang had a bad season where he had 20 goal contributions. That is okay. If 20 goal, if a bad season for you, you can still give me 20 goal contributions, I'll take it. Now, I've seen someone in the comments saying Xhaka is not the problem, it's Aubameyang. Oh, come on, man. You cannot look at that Arsenal team and tell me Aubameyang is the biggest problem. Now, let me tell you the negative with Aubameyang. I do not blindly support Aubameyang, but he should definitely not be Arsenal captain. I definitely agree that Aubameyang should not be Arsenal captain. He's a fun guy. He's a guy who likes having fun in the dressing room, so he's not a captain guy. You need someone else to captain. But if you look at that Arsenal team and you tell me Willian is okay, Bellerin is okay, Aubameyang and Lacazette are the problems, you are very, very wrong. Aubameyang had one bad season. Yes, I've still seen him missing chances in preseason, but he had 3 good seasons at Arsenal. So if you can give me 3 good seasons, I can allow you 1 bad season. But if you're like Xhaka, who you out of the 6 seasons, you've given me 5 bad seasons and 1 good season, which one will remain? How old is Aubameyang? Aubameyang still has another thing I like about Aubameyang. Aubameyang still has another like 2 or 3 years or something at Arsenal, and just like Xhaka, fine, he plays like every single game. He rarely gets injured. He got sick last season, but he can play for you every single game. You cannot tell me Aubameyang is the biggest issue in that team, and that is why he will get 20 plus goals this season. You cannot tell me he's the biggest problem in the team. There was so much going on last season. He was playing on the left side. We did not like him on the left side. He was having to defend most times than attacking. It was so many problems. Obviously, the problems with his family, personal problems, the problems with the malaria and stuff. There was so much going on. Yes, if you're trying to believe that maybe he got the money and became comfortable, fine, that is up to you if you want to believe that, but I do not believe that. I definitely do not believe that. Now, if he goes ahead and has a second bad season, then you can talk about selling him next season. But you cannot tell. I've seen people saying sell Aubameyang and Lacazette and bring in Danny Ings from Southampton. Come on, man. Danny Ings will play for you 10 games and he'll be injured for the other 28. Come on. Aubameyang will play for you all 38 games.
I don't think Danny Ings is going to have a run of 8 games like Aubameyang where he scores 8 games and he scores you 12 goals. The ceiling of Danny Ings is going to be 15 goals.
Yeah.
When he scores 15 goals, Danny Ings. Look at Danny Ings. He scored 15 goals for Arsenal. He's done so well. Aubameyang 15 goals is not good enough. Actually, people don't remember last season he had double figures as well. He had double figures, like as the double figures, and Pepe double figures as well. So you see, that's it.
Yeah, and I do not care who's better between Lacazette and Aubameyang and Lacazette. I just need them both to score goals. Aubameyang was here for 3 seasons, and if he did not score those goals, he'd have been relegated a long time ago. So I can allow him to miss 3. I can allow him to miss 3 chances, 4 chances, 5 chances. I believe he's going to have a better season next season. Maybe need to change up our tactics. Maybe don't play him on the left side too much. Maybe bring him to the middle a couple of times. Create more chances. We did not create chances, like someone says in the comment. We need to create more chances for them. And then let's see if he has a bad season. If both of them have a bad season again, if you want to consider those 20 plus goal contributions a bad season, if you want to consider Aubameyang, by the way, took us to the Europa League semi-final. If you don't know, against Benfica is the one who scored the goals, would have been eliminated a long time ago. So if they have a bad season, again, then you can consider selling them. But you cannot look at that Arsenal team and tell me, let's replace the strikers. Even if you replace Lacazette and Aubameyang and bring in Ings and Martinez, you still have Bellerin there, you still have Willian there, you still have Xhaka there, you still have Holding there. Lacazette and Aubameyang, and even Leno, they've never been Arsenal's biggest problem, never.
Right. So thank you so much for coming on, bro. It's been really amazing.
No problem, and thank you for having me again.
Yeah. So thanks everybody who's been in the chat. Someone says I've been lost. This is according to Junior Kagawa. Oh, I've been lost. It's not true. I mean, it's not true. It's absolutely not true. Maybe yesterday when we made one upload, I had a couple of issues, with hackers. That's the only problem. But I've been around. I've absolutely been around. I've been with Glen. His channel is Glen Kitely Everything Arsenal. Link is in the title. Try to click on that one because tomorrow we will be there discussing lots of Arsenal content. We are only 4 likes from 90. 4 likes to get to 90. So we are 127. Let's get that one done. 4 likes. Let's get them to 90 right about now. And you guys are the good guys. We've been sponsored by the good people at YugaBet.
Yes, guys, you heard me right. We are sponsored by the wonderful people at YugaBet. Now, YugaBet is the biggest platform for betting in Uganda. You can bet on your laptop, on your smartphone, or anywhere, even if you don't have a smartphone, as long as you can have a device called a phone in your hand. YugaBet brings you all the best betting odds for football, tennis, basketball, and a couple of other games. It depends on what you want to bet on. They have virtual games. They have 100% bonuses on your first deposit, as well as a 50 million jackpot if you can actually win it. Click the link in the description to get 100% bonus on your first deposit, and obviously to sign up with YugaBet. Bet with YugaBet so that you do not regret.
Right, sir. Right there, guys. So you heard it from me or my Cossy. Bet with YugaBet. People in Uganda, that should be your betting site. They sponsored us for this show as well, and a couple of other shows that will actually come on. Make sure you don't forget to smash the like button. We are only 4 likes away. 4 likes away from 100, and you guys have actually done it. Good night, Glen. Hope to see you tomorrow, bro.
Awesome, man. See you tomorrow.
All right.